Okay. Yeah, so the agenda of this demo is to explain what are the concepts that we discuss in manual testing and what are the things that we learn in automation testing. So initially we'll start up with manual testing. Basically, what is manual testing? Testing is basically what is testing? So testing is to find defects. It is a process of finding the defects in the software or in an application. Okay. So manual testing is something that a testing is done manually without any automation tool. It is purely done by humans. There is a human intervention in manual testing. So manual testing is a type of software testing in which test cases are executed manually by a tester without using any automated tools. And the purpose of this manual testing is to identify the bugs or issues or defects in the software application. And software testing is the most primitive technique of all testing types, and it helps to find the critical bugs in the application. So, why do you think the testing is important? So, any business, if it is in the market, it is to any application, if it is in the market, it is developed to support some business, whatever the business it is, whether we take Swiggy or Zomato, anything that is to support the business. If there is an issue in the business, there will be a loss to the business and they lose the customers. So, before we launch any product to the market, it has to be tested thoroughly. All the critical bugs should be fixed and then it should be launched to the market. So, testing helps in finding those critical bugs in software application. Okay. So, any new application must be manually tested before it can be tested automatically. Before we automate any scenario, that has to go through manual testing and then it would be automated. Manual testing requires more effort, but it is necessary to check automation feasibility. You cannot start automation on the day one. It should go, any application should be tested manually first. The feasibility for automation should be checked and then automation can be conducted. So manual testing concepts does not require any knowledge of any of the testing tool, but one of the fundamental rule is that 100% testing is automation testing is not possible. So this is where manual testing comes into picture. So you cannot say that manual testing will deprecate or anything like that, but manual testing will always be there. And after that, we do automation testing. And so the goal of manual testing is the key concept of manual testing is to ensure that the application is error free and it is working in as expected. As expected is nothing but there would be some requirements given by the customers, and our application should work as per the requirements given by customer. And any application, if it has errors, we will definitely not accept it. Suppose you are using any of the applications like WhatsApp and Instagram like that, and you see some errors. You are trying to upload a photo in Facebook and you see errors. Definitely, you will not use it. You will feel like, oh, this application is not good, and gradually you will stop using it. So, any application should be error free. We have to make sure that the application is error free and it is working as expected functional requirements. We will learn all about this terminology once we start the session. And then during the testing phase, we ensure that 100% test coverage is done. And also, it also makes sure that reported defects are fixed by developers and retesting has been performed by testers. So, whenever you see that there is a issue or there is something that is not working
Yeah, ma'am. Hello.
So we have to make sure, being a testers, we have to make sure that whatever the issues or defects that we have raised, that should be fixed by the developers. And after it is fixed, we have to retest it. Retesting is something that you are checking it again. Testing is for the first time you are doing it. Retest is nothing but for the second time, for multiple times you are doing that to make sure that the defect is fixed. So we will learn all about this. How do we track a defect? How do we raise a defect? Everything in defect life cycle. Okay. And so basically, testing requires many skill sets because people say that testing is easy and anybody can do it, but basically we require skills that are required for doing manual testing. Why? Because we have to come up with multiple creative scenarios for a given functionality. We have to come up with multiple scenarios and we have to test the application. And testing, identifying all the possible defects is one of the key things. We have to try to do that in testing, and 100% test automation cannot be done. So software manual testing is also essential. Okay. And testing can be extremely challenging when testing an application for possible use cases with minimum test cases is like something high analytical skills. Okay. So that is where we come across all these things, and the main concepts that we cover under manual testing is we'll deal with software development life cycle, that is a procedure to develop the software, and different types of software development life cycles that are available, which means SDLC models we will learn. And we will also learn about software test life cycle, which is STLC, that is a procedure to test the software, and different types of testing that are involved in manual testing, like functional testing and integration testing, system testing, usability testing, exploratory testing. Like this, we have so many types of testing. We will deal with all of this, and how to write the test cases, what are test cases, and once the test cases are written, what is the procedure to review the test cases, and all we will learn in this session. And also, once we start executing the test cases, we will find the defects. How to track them is what we learn in defect life cycle. And so procedure to write the test cases, everything we will learn in this session. And also, what is test plan, that we will learn how the test plan is designed. Everything we will be learning in this manual testing session. So manual testing requires human intervention for test execution. Basically, if there is any automated tool, what we will do, we will execute, we will write the code and we will just run the code for uh, on a daily basis or like that. But this manual testing will require human intervention for test execution. There is no automated tool, and any type of testing can be tested manually. Automation is recommended only for stable systems and is mostly used for regression testing. What is regression testing? Everything we will learn in manual testing sessions. So manual testing, before we learn any type of automation testing, manual testing is a basic thing that we should know as a tester. All the concepts under manual testing is very basics that we have to know. Suppose you have 10 years of experience and 5 years of experience, but you don't know what are the basic things that are involved in testing, that's really not a good thing. So to have this basic knowledge of testing is very important, and that's where automation testing is important. Okay. And so the next one we have is, so this is this is the things that we cover in manual testing, and also uh, a hands-on on how to write test cases and how to write a defect report. Everything we will be learning. Okay, the templates that are used in writing test cases and writing defects, everything would be taught from scratch. And then comes Java Selenium. The programming language that we are going to use is Java, and we are using Selenium WebDriver. So, what are the things that we learn in Java? So, uh, initially, basically, installation steps for Java and Eclipse. Eclipse is the IDE that we are using to write our program. So, how to download the Eclipse, how to install Java, everything we will learn in this session initially. And how to use Eclipse, everything will be taught. And what is class, members of class, and variables, data types of variables that are involved in Java, and methods and its types, and what is interface, how do we create an object, and operator concepts, and looping statements that are available in Java, and how do we use different variables in different cases, and what are constructors and its types is what we learn, and practical examples of default and parameterized constructors and constructor overloading methods, what are method overloading and method overriding, and inheritance concept, which is important, and access modifiers, what are the different access levels that we provide to any particular class or data variables. So that is all what we learn in Java sessions, and the concept of upcasting and abstract classes in Java, and interface in Java, and string class objects, methods that we use, everything we will be learning. And also Java collection framework is what we will be covering as part of core Java, that is very much required for Selenium sessions. And when it comes to Selenium topics, we will learn about what is Selenium WebDriver and Selenium WebDriver architecture, and how do we launch the browser, and how do we set the properties. Suppose you have now you know manually how to do the thing. Suppose if I ask you to log into Facebook, what is the first thing that you have to do? Before you go to land up in the Facebook page, you have to first launch your browser, any browser, whether it is Chrome, whether it is IE or Firefox, any browser. First thing is we have to launch that browser. Before launch, after launching the browser, you can perform any actions. So in automation, what we do basically is the manual steps, whatever it is there, that would be automated. It is not something that we do special. All the manual steps would be automated. So manually, you have to launch the browser in order to do anything, in order to perform any action. You have to launch the browser. How do you do that in automation is what we learn, the basic step. And then we have something called browser drivers present for all the browsers. For Chrome, it is Chrome driver. If it is Firefox, it is Deco driver. We will learn all the things about drivers in Selenium, and also how to maximize a window. Suppose if I ask you to maximize a window manually, you will click on maximize button. But through automation, how to do that, we'll learn. And also we will learn different methods to navigate back and through. There is a in the URL address section, there is back and forward button and refresh button. That if you want to automate how to do that, that we will learn. And for validation purpose, we have to get the page title of any particular web page. How to do that, we will learn. It is getting a web page title and getting a page source code. Everything we will be learning under this session of Selenium. And also launching of different different browsers like Firefox or IE, different browsers that also we will learn, and basic introduction to HTML and how it looks like, because we have to have the knowledge of that in order to find the path of any web element. So, what is web element? The entire Facebook page is one web page. All the elements, email address field, password field, login button, every single element in that is called web element. Suppose I ask you to enter the credentials, you know where email ID field is present, where the password is present, and you can see it. But our automation script cannot see it. We have to provide the knowledge of those fields to our automation script. How do we provide that knowledge? We have to use locators to find the element address of that web element so that it identifies and it performs some action. Okay. So there are different locators like ID, name, class name, expert, CSS selector, link text, and partial link text. All that we will learn in locator session. This is the important session in Selenium. Once you know, it is like 80% of Selenium is done. Okay. And then how do we handle web elements, and how do we send keys? Whatever the manual actions you do, suppose you want to type something, you will type using keyboard. Through automation, how do we do that? It is using send keys method that we will be learning, and clicking event, reading the text, getting the attribute value, all that we will be learning, and keyboard operations like suppose Alt A, Control S. Those are all keyboard operations, right? That how do? We will learn. And drag and drop functionality, mouse over. Sometimes you might have seen just on mouse over, some pop-ups will come. It is in Amazon dot in. Like you just click mouse over on hello, it will open the sign in page or sign up page. You can check. So how do we do that in through automation that we will learn using actions class of Selenium. And there's something called JavaScript executor. How do we use JavaScript executor for entering the text and performing scroll operations? We have to perform that scrolling the page, right? Manually, we cannot scroll. It is not a manual system, as it is automation. Through automation, we have to scroll the page. How to do that? We will see. And also, window handling. Window handling is nothing but when there are multiple tabs that are opened, how do we handle that using Selenium? We will see. And also taking screenshots. Sometimes what will happen if something is failed, the test case is failing, and you have to capture the screenshot. Manually, what you will do if something is not working, suppose you click on you open facebook.com and you will log in, enter the credentials, you will enter your username and you'll enter your password and you'll click on login button. But once you click on login button, there is some error page that is coming up. How do you tell your lead that this is happening? Either you will tell it verbally or you'll take a screenshot and send it to them as a proof, right? Similarly, you have to take screenshots in automation test as well. When something fails, when something is not working as expected, you have to take a screenshot. That how to do through automation we will learn. And also there are synchronization issues that will come in automation. So those things we have to handle using synchronization, that are waiting, that we will learn. And how do we handle pop-ups? Sometimes what will happen, we cannot directly handle the pop-ups, so we have to use Java alert to handle those pop-ups that we will be learning. And also understanding of framework. What is what we do in the entire framework? Initially we will do the linear script, and then we will do we'll convert the project into framework, proper framework, what we learn in what we practically do in industry. And also we will learn about TestNG, which is how to use TestNG and its installations in Eclipse we will do. And the build tool that we are going to use in this session is Maven, and how to use that build tool and its installation, and how to create a Maven project and adding the dependency to the form.xml file, that also we will be learning. And We will also learn testing the annotations and its attributes and usage of different annotations like before method, after method, before class and after class. All that we will be learning under Selenium sessions. So this is a brief introduction about both manual testing and automation testing, which involves Java and Selenium. Thank you.